am not taking on CPAC at this point. I am going over the news, and I am at the beginning of looking into this. And I don't say this with a slam against CPAC by any stretch of the imagination. CPAC is important, and it is, I think, there are problems that are putting it on the ropes, and I think that is intentional. So I am not going to play into what they would like to see, and that is the destruction of CPAC. We need to clean it up if there's a problem. Now, explain, Pat, what we're going to hear.
Well, it's interesting because at one of the panels, Pamela Geller, who's a conservative blogger, made some interesting charges against CPAC and what's going on there. And here's what she said at a panel.
That it's corrupted and it's been compromised by Muslim Brotherhood.
So did you hear that? It's been corrupted and compromised
by
the Muslim Brotherhood.
The 12,000 people, this is why I do my events here. Every year I do an event. Because if you look at the agenda of CPAC, look at all of the panels, and then look at your daily news headlines, they're either clueless or complicit, okay? Right. And I believe it's the latter.
Okay, so CPAC, according to Pam Geller, is either clueless or complicit.
I find it very hard to believe that they are complicit. But I haven't studied this particular angle.
Nah, I haven't either.
And so I don't know. I will tell you that that's the way I feel about the media, is they're either clueless or they're complicit, and I don't believe they're clueless. All right, so now...
So then there's another confrontation, and this one is on the board of the American Conservative Union, and they're talking to Suhail Khan, who's on the board, and all the board members are there. And one of the participants is asking some questions of the board about what's going on at CPAC.
Hey, hold on. What I have a problem with is they say, jihad is their way. Martyrdom is
asking
their
about the Muslim
goal.
Brotherhood.
I mean, that is antithetic to everything the Constitution says.
I understand all of those things.
You got your answers.
No, I understand all
Do you
of
agree
those
with that too, Mr. Khan?
With what?
That we should be outreaching to the Muslim Brotherhood and
well, the Nation of Islam.
Muslim Brotherhood in the United States.
There's no Muslim Brotherhood in the United States.
No.
The Nation.
So Khan says there's no Muslim Brotherhood in the United States.
Which is absolutely a lie. That is absolutely untrue. Now, who is this guy? This is a very important figure in the Bush administration. This is a guy who comes with his credentials for the right. Give me a real quick highlight of him. Later at CPAC, David Horowitz addresses this from the stage, and David says it's all absolutely true.
Yeah, he's a senior fellow for the Muslim Christian Understanding at the Institute for Global Engagement. He was a Bush administration appointee. He's a conservative political activist in Washington, D.C., and he sits on the board of the American Conservative Union.
Let me bring Zuhdi on with us now. Hi, Zuhdi. How are you, sir?
Great, Glenn. It's good to be with you.
Good to be with you. Are you familiar with, what is his name, Pat?
Suhail Khan?
Suhail Khan. You're familiar with him, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Let me play what happened this weekend at CPAC, and they're having a panel with a board of directors on it, and somebody stands up, and they're talking about how could we possibly be excited about a revolution where the Muslim Brotherhood are involved. We can't stand with the Muslim Brotherhood. And this is what happens.
Hey, hold on. What I have a problem with is they say, jihad is their way. Martyrdom is their goal. I mean, that is antithetic to everything the Constitution says.
I understand all of those things.
You got your answers.
No, I understand
Do
all
you
of
agree
those
with that
things.
too, Mr. Khan?
With what?
That we should be outreaching to the Muslim Brotherhood and
Well, the Nation of
There's no
Islam.
Muslim Brotherhood in the United States.
there's no Muslim Brotherhood in the United States.
No.
Zuhdi, is the Muslim Brotherhood in the United States?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at anybody that looks at any of the work being done, whether it was the Holy Land Foundation trial that showed a whole nexus, our documentary, The Third Jihad, put out by the Clarion Fund, talks about the documents that were demonstrated from 1991 that showed a whole nexus of operating organizations that were founded by members that came out of the Brotherhood, out of Egypt and out of the Middle East. And the bottom line is when you say Brotherhood, I know many on the left say that, well, this is all conspiracy theories, and they're not card-carrying members per se.
Yes.
But to me, as an active Muslim, we formed our organization, the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, because the Brotherhood is much more than just the Brotherhood. It's the ideology of political Islam. It's a mixture of mosque and state. It's the desire to establish Islamic State and to put Sharia law into government. And these Muslims that deny that, actually what they're doing is obfuscating their Muslim responsibility to reform our faith into modernity and to separate mosque and state. They're obfuscating the direct connection between the separatist ideology of Islamism and Western society's values. And I think this issue at CPAC is very important. Not that we could definitely prove that Suhail has a card of the Brotherhood, but you can prove that here you have a so-called conservative who, as far as I'm concerned, hasn't represented any of the ideas of true conservatism, not only fiscally, but when it comes to our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, he has not stood against Islamist groups that have basically been all about big government, all about theocracy. He has not made any statements that the Brotherhood is a threat to society, a threat to the West. And to me, this is not somebody that is consistent with CPAC values.
Okay, so give me the guy's resume. I mean, Zuhdi, I had heard that you disagreed with David Horowitz. David Horowitz is strong on this and says this guy's a danger. I don't know if he goes as far as saying that he is a member, card-carrying member of the Muslim Brotherhood. I don't think he does. He just says this man was appointed by Bush and brought in, the people like CARE into the White House, which many believe are front organizations for this Islamic extremism that makes political correctness, ratchets all the political correctness up. So you can't look into any of the dangers that are clear and present.
I agree with him in many ways, in that what happens is not that one Muslim can make that much of a danger to an organization like CPAC, but what happens is in today's society where Muslims are a minority, they look for a Muslim to sort of say, okay, we're not offending Muslims. So here you have Suhail comes in and brings in other Muslims. So the White House or whoever seeks his advice in the State Department or whoever checks off the box that they've talked to a Muslim. And here you have him bringing in organizations that are not part of the solution but part of the problem. CARE and the Islamic Society of North America and others are basically front organizations. Why? Because their entire mantra is about victimology, is that, well, terrorism is the West's fault. It's basically because Muslims are attacked. They use that so-called narrative that if somehow American foreign policy would change or anti-Islam rhetoric would change, that somehow terrorism would go away. And they don't recognize that it is a problem within the House of Islam that needs reform. So it is dangerous, I think, to have individuals that so-called represent Muslims when, in fact, they're actually representing a specific platform, and that is of political Islam, and anesthetizes Americans, and especially conservatives, to our founding ideals of classical liberalism and our founding documents. So, yeah, I think, and not to mention, Suhail hasn't rejected, he denies his father's connections to the Brotherhood, which is fine. We can't prove that, and as they say, the sins of the father are not the sons, but he hasn't rejected those ideologies. He hasn't, to me, my work post 9/11 is rife with ideological descriptions of the problem of Sharia, the problem of Islamism. He has none of that work. He just wants us to accept it on face value that he's a conservative and he's all about Western ideals, when in fact, talk about American ideals, talk about Egypt, talk about other things. He never identifies the Brotherhood as a threat, and that, to me, is a problem for somebody who's an avowed conservative.
Not an Insider Extreme member yet? What are you waiting for? Sign up today at glennbeck.com/extreme.